What's up everyone, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video, we'll be giving a look on the recent banners and also on the announcement of a ReRun banner that brings Rocbouquet Global X version called Fleeting Beauty alongside Darque, Emelia and Lyza, characters that come from the SaGa Frontier Remaster banner. It's from the future, so in Global they were very strong, they are still relevant, alongside Vampire Lady because she gets a new style in the future. So I want to talk about this banner. I do believe this banner is the best banner right now in Global because you have 5 different styles and, well, no chance of an off banner. And 4 characters here are good, and Vampire Lady is the only one that I don't care about. We have other 2 banners that are UDX, Mirsa, and Darque and Minstrel. This banner is also good, and also the New Year banner of Mirsa, Minstrel, and Aurora. Comparing to all these other banners, I believe this one is still the best one because of Rocbouquet. Rocbouquet is still one of the best characters in the game because of so much that she brings into. So I will give a look on rsdb.com to talk about all the styles, and the Global X version of Rocbouquet brought a lot of things in the game. She has high intelligence, although not as high as some recent mages. 96%, she also has high agility and, well, all-around status for all the other ones. She has very good passive. She starts the fight with 12 BP and also increases damage on full HP, and she has a passive that will give her 25% chance of negating all damage and healing in a turn. Very nice because of boss fights. And Overtension that gives her 15% at all times, 30% on combo, and 45% on overdrive. So in long fights, when you get to overdrive, she will help you with damage. And this is very good with her kit. She has a 0 BP skill that uses both lightning and moon damage. Lightning is still very hard to find, and she does not need to use normal attack as a mage. Many mages need to normal attack when you don't have VP, and she will just use the skill. That's very nice. Also has a low chance to stun. If you are using Matriarch, this low chance becomes very easy to hit. The second one is Blooming Fireworks, and is an AoE damage with Moon and Heat, a very uncommon combination. We also have this with Barthélemy. The damage is not so high, but she gives 1 BP to everyone, and it's very good as elemental coverage. The last skill is her selling point. Psycho Boom just brings a lot of things into the table. It's the combination of a skill called Psycho Noise and Euthanize together. She opens with an AoE attack that debuffs both intelligence and will from your enemies by 15% and max, and then she uses Euthanize. This is the skill from Evelyn. This one will debuff intelligence of a target with 100% chance, and this is 20%, and then she will buff her own intelligence, and all of these on the same time. So Psycho Boom is very useful when you are starting a fight against an enemy that uses a spell, and also by debuffing will, it will help your debuffers to keep debuffing the boss. She is very good and can inherit plenty of skills. You get a lot of value if you also has this version of her that brings Dark Pulse, Black Lightning and a Raged Squid for inheritance, but if you don't have, just go with the Platinum one, Inherit Water of Life, and she's a healer as well. That is good enough value for a character that is already 5 months inside the game. The second character is Lethal Commando Emelia, and probably the second best character of the bunch as well, depending on if you are missing more gunners than martial artists. She gets 94 dexterity and 85 agility. Those status are not as impressive right now in the game since, yeah, most characters got buffed to reach higher status in this, but she gets dexterity well 4, so in the start of a round she gets more dexterity to do more damage. She also has Charging Lesson that gives her a heal every time that she attacks. The heal is very low, around 130, but she also gets 1 BP when she kills a target, and she needs to kill a target in a 3-wave scenario to get enough BP for full AoE cycles. Also for the 5 for 20% increase in damage. She opens with Ricochet Parade, a very strong attack for turn 1, uses 9 BP, so you have to kill at least 1 target to be enough to use Total Shot, the following attack. Then it's not so strong by power, but because of the status and buffs, deals very good damage. She also has Bullet Dance, a very powerful attack that can be considered triple S damage with only 7 BP cost. And you can inherit this skill into the Global X version if you already have, so she can use it twice in a row because of battle tension, but it's also good enough. If you kill 1 target with it, you can also use this again on turn 2. She may not be the best gunner for boss fights. I don't know if we have gunners that are so good for boss fights, but she can do very good damage into waves or for full AoE scenarios. And if you have the Global X version, you are just getting one more cycle for bullet dance. The third one is Lyza, and she's very strong even now in the game. She has 99 agility. We don't get any characters with more than 100 right now, so she's still very close to the current standards. Her STR is 89, and those are the two status that matter. She also has bonuses for both. The most interesting thing is that she has full passives for damage. The first one gives her 20% increase when dealing weak damage, and she gets 15% when using martial arts, well, every time, and she also gets Battle Tension that gives her 15% and 1 more BP on the start of a fight. Lyza is one of the most well-designed characters in the game because she has an attack that has delay. Giant Swing has delay, so you can decide when you want her to attack. Let's say that you want to use Babel Crumble, the second skill that's very powerful, 68 modifier triple S damage. You just leave it on 11 and Giant Swing will not be used, and she just goes and use that. But if you want to use a better skill called Sky Twister, that can only be used on turn 2, you just leave Babel Crumble on 14, same as Sky Twister, and she would not try to use Babel Crumble. Instead, she would try to use Giant Swing, and if your other characters clear the first wave, it's a guarantee that she'll use Sky Twister. The best design for martial artists because they are too fast. Sometimes they may one attack before other characters, and you don't want that. Sky Twister is one of the most powerful skills in the game, and it still keeps her being relevant, but she does not have any AoE attacks. You can inherit Submission, and Submission may not be the best thing with her since her intelligence is only 69, but it still works pretty fine as an STR debuffer if you are lacking. Now we talk about Doll, probably the fourth or third best character depending on what you're lacking. Doll is a hybrid character that brings a lot into her kit. She has not so high dexterity, not so high agility, and not so high intelligence, but above average for all the street status, and she needs them because it's what she uses. The first passive means that she can evade all attacks with 50% chance if everyone is alive. That's why she can operate as an off-tank, especially in Tiger Shark formation. She also has more damage when she's on full HP. This one is kind of bad, but she stays on full HP most of the time. And then Overtension, 15 all times, 30% on combo, and 45 on overdrive. So you see that she's kind of used for boss fights, for long sustain. Yes, the first skill has a chance to instant kill, but it has also a problem with auto cycles because she would try to use other skills first. So you probably would not be using this too much. What you'll be using is Power Grab. The skill here is amazing because it has a guarantee to debuff STR by 15%. It also recovers her HP, meaning that she will try to use Hard Wallop again if she lost some HP, and self-sustaining on the front line where she sometimes takes a hit, but she evades 50% of the hit, so that's good enough. And her third attack is kind of a nuke, and very interesting because it only uses 8 PP and has a very okay damage, Blunt and Moon, and every time that she uses this, she buffs 40% of her dexterity and intelligence, meaning that you can use this 3 times in a row if you stack enough BP, and every time you use it will be stronger. But most of her gameplay is just to stick to use Power Grab since she has high intelligence and agility, will hardly miss the attack, and a guarantee to debuff this is very nice. So you can just use other characters. We have Minerva with Acupuncture Plus, we have a second version of Barthélemy that can also debuff STR, we also have Shira, and she will also debuff STR. You can replace her easier. Her gameplay is now not so important since there are characters that can do similar, but still nonetheless a good character. As for Vampire Lady, she's the less interesting of them all. She does not have such a high STR, but her agility is pretty high. She has at least this Vampire Link that when she attacks, she has a chance of healing herself and someone random alive. It can even be herself twice. It's only 25%, it could help in long fights, but she's not designed for long fights anyway. The second pass increases shadow damage by 10%, and she gets 20% by fired up, so 30% when using Moon and only 20% when not using Moon damage. But all of her skills has Moon damage, so that will work for all the time. So the first attack here is a direct single target skill that's not so powerful, we should ignore that. Then she has this Meridian Bat, that's both Slash and Moon, AoE, but it's not so powerful. And Shadow Blaze, this attack here is interesting because it gives high chance to inflict confusion, but only against melee units. And it gets critical damage to human. It's not weak, it's okay by the power and cost, but hardly you need Charm, but if you need, this one is one of the best characters for this. We also got another very good character for Charm, that was the Minstrel from Christmas, but you also have Therese that can use a Charm attack that is pretty effective. If you have Therese, you don't need this Vampire Lady, and even if you don't have, this character here is the last interesting of them all. We'll be getting a new version of her that really does not need inheritance besides the third skill, but you can still live without it. So, returning to the banner image, I do believe this is a very good chance to get some very good styles from the past, Rocbouquet being the best one, and then it's about Emelia or Lyza, the second best ones, depending on what you're lacking the most. And then Doll, last Vampire Lady. The good thing is that you will not be getting off banners, you can summon here a little, and if you get Rocbouquet very early, you can even stop, you don't need to go for Emelia and Lyza, but I still believe that they are good enough if you want to try your luck. And then after this banner, the best one should be UDX, Mirsa and Darque. This banner here, yes, it brings UDX Legendary for Mirsa, UDX Poem of the Gods Song of the Man Minstrel, and UDX Guildmaster Darque. And Darque is the best one alongside Mirsa. Mirsa is better if you don't have Leon, but Darque is one of the best Pierce attackers with one of the best cycles as well in the game. Let's give a look on them. So this is Mirsa, and this Mirsa does not have the best status in the game. You can look on it and you will not see anything special. He only has 85 STR, 61 Dexter, that's pretty low for current standards. All characters now have 70s. His agility is okay with 77, and that's because he got some intelligence since he needs for counter. That's why his status are kind of badly distributed. But then he has a passive that negates all dark damage and counters all types of damage with a row attack that's both sun and heat, but it's a spell, so you need intelligence with him, that's why he got some here. And he has Stardust Slash, an attack that can debuff will for all targets. 61 intelligence, not that high, but it works if you are using Matriarch, and then he can also inherit in the New Year's version of Mirsa, that we'll be talking about later. But what sells this Mirsa is the chance of healing. As you can see here, he has 25% chance of healing. When he gets countered all the time, he counters and has a chance of healing. So he can play well if you're working against enemies that just deal dark damage, or even against all types of damage. But the most important thing is Steel Blade Light, since this is the skill that broke the game when he was launched. Because all heals in this game use LP. He was the first one to not use LP, so he can constantly heal for long fights. We had Minstrel that used 2 LP to heal, and she could not keep on long fights. So it's a slash and stun attack with a very high modifier. By itself is already strong, but there's one thing here, it's a delayed attack, so he will attack after everyone. That's not so bad since you can use this on turn 1 after the enemy attacks. Steel Blade Light will heal for around 600 of all targets that are alive. So he's better for sustained fights where people don't die, so he can keep healing. And if you have a character like Nawal's Daughter that can get 1 more BP to the party, you can use this every 3 turns, allowing you to survive in many strategies. He kind of loses some competition against Leon, because Leon brings a lot of things into the table, but he still is the best Steel Blade Light user because of that chance of healing. But Leon also increases damage for surviving allies, and he also has a skill that can buff. They are clashing, and you can even use them together if you want, but you don't need both. And Leon is the superior character in my opinion, but that does not reduce the usefulness of Mirsa since he's very good. And he got this New Year style now, Oh I Don't Drink, that has Left Fork, one of the strongest skill in the game, very close to the power of Rofus, the damage king in the game. And getting that UDX Mirsa is good if you plan on using these Mirsa as well, since you can get Steel Blade Light to deal even more damage with higher status and better passives. The next one is Darque, and this one is one of the most interesting designs in the game, because he just can do a lot of things with only one premium style. He has 3 status that he wants, that is Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence. He has bonuses for Dexterity and Intelligence. Funny enough, his Agility is pretty high. This character is built about damage. He starts with 13 BP because of Power Charge 3, gets a Dexterity buff on start of a round, and then deals 20% more damage because of Fired Up 5. He opens with an Inheritance skill that comes from his freestyle that had an event. If you don't have this version, it will come back in a future event as well. And it can give you Sword Ballet. This one will get upgraded in the future for 8 PP coast and more damage. Or the best one is Firecracker, since you can use this on turn 1 for a very strong nuke. And then after that, he would just stick into using Throwing Knives. It only uses 2 BP, so he can slowly build up to get more BP to use something else. He can also use Stinger, a very powerful attack that has a medium chance to instant kill twice in a row. And because of his high intelligence, he's the best character for Conquest, since Stinger can be used twice. Most of the instant killers in this game cannot use a good instant kill attack twice in a row. Remember, Albert has a small chance and very low intelligence. He can, but not on the veins of Darque. Darque is single target, so it's for Conquest where you only have one enemy. And besides this single target cycle that he can use twice, he also has Kaleidoscope, a triple S nuke that he can use on turn 1. And then if he only wants to use single target attacks, he can inherit from his S style that comes from inside the game, a tower permanent event. He can use Paralyzing Trust. This attack has a small chance to debuff Dexterity, and we barely have Dexterity debuffers in the game. It's only 2 BP, just like the other attacks, so he can slowly build up to use something else if he wants to. Can open with Kaleidoscope, can use a Dexterity debuff attack, and then slowly build for Stinger or Kaleidoscope again. So this guy has plenty of cycles, very good status, and is very good on farming. May not be the best one for boss fights, since we have characters that can self-buff to every new turn. They will do more damage than Darque, but Darque is one of the best farming characters in the game. And the last character here is Minstrel, and Minstrel was kinda good when he was released because we still didn't have Matchwork, and he has a skill called Fast Armée that gives Morale Up and Guard Up medium for 2 turns. This increases the damage that you can do and decreases the damage that you receive. So it was good since it was only 8 BP and it lasts for 2 turns, meaning that you will not have too much off time when using this character. But since buffs that increase status are better in the game, you don't have too much usefulness for him if you already have other buffers like Matriarch, Null's Daughter, and even the Halloween Princess White Rose that increases will with very easy. So you will be reducing magical damage with her instead of using Guard Up, and you will be getting more damage by increasing the status, which are Noah's Daughter or Matriarch. If you have the styles, you have nothing to do with Minstrel, sadly. He may be a good AoE attacker with Eclair d'Armée, this attack here, and then he can just use Earth Booms for a 3 turn cycle of AoE. He also has a chance to heal the squad by around 150, the same thing that the Blue Princess White Rose can do, but his version is only 25% chance, her version is 37%, and this does not change the outcomes of battle. He increases at least 5% for blunt and stun damage. In his status you can see that he's not special since he has 90% for STR, and all the other status are pretty low. Even his agility, when using him for farming, you have problem. He gets a new style on another banner, and this style is also not so interesting, so I suggest you skip Minstrel for now. He will even be demoted in the tier list. With that said, we talking about the 2 banners, and these 2 banners are the things that needed to be discussed. In my opinion, if you are now with some gems and you still haven't pulled it, you should be pulling even when comparing the New Year banner. If you still haven't pulled it on this banner, I suggest you start pulling on this one, since Global X Rock is very incredible character. You can use her and she is not easily replaced in some strategies. Fighting against Creator in Ward Tower was so much easier by using Rocbouquet. And then you have chance of getting other styles that are good as well. If you are summoning for UDX, Darque, and Mirsa, you still have chances of getting something that it's not so important. It's not that you cannot use Minstrel, but he's not so useful anymore. But Mirsa and Darque are still better when comparing to the New Year banner, since in this New Year banner I only think about Mirsa as being good on the long term. The other two characters can be used, but are not so special. So these are my opinions on these two ReRun banners. I hope it helps in any way, and if you think differently, please say here in the comments. I want to know your opinion. Will you be summoning for this banner? Have you decided to pull or not? Please say here in the comments as well. Hope to see you soon in the next episode. Bye!